had a horrifying experience at a friend's birthday party.
Give it back. Please return it to me.
This story has remained a haunting memory for me to this day. That day, I was invited by Lily to attend her birthday party at her house. I prepared a small gift for her and happily went to the party. However, as soon as I entered, I felt that there was something strangely gloomy about the atmosphere. The air was somber, lacking the lively music of a typical birthday celebration. Lily chatted with me for a while before heading inside. She needed to put away the gift. At that moment, a limping man approached me and struck up a conversation.
Hello, you're Lily's friend, right?
Yes, and you are?
I'm Lucas, Lily's older brother.
Really? I've never heard Lily mention you before. Just then, someone bumped into me forcefully, causing me to stumble and fall toward Lucas. As I touched him, I was startled. His body was ice cold, completely devoid of warmth.
Are you okay?
No, I'm fine. I reached for the glass to hide my embarrassment, but clumsily dropped it. The water splashed onto Lucas's feet nearby. I'm so sorry. Before I could finish my sentence, I froze in shock. Lucas was gone. But what terrified me even more was the dried bloodstain left where he had just stood. At that moment, whispers filled the air, sending chills down my spine.
What's wrong with her?
I don't know. She's been talking to herself this whole time.
I stared at them in shock, unable to process what had just happened.
Ariel, are you okay?
I was just talking to your brother, but I don't know where he went.
You said you met Lucas?
Yes. He's tall, with a mole at the corner of his eye. Is he your brother?
That's impossible! My brother, Lucas, passed away 2 months ago?
I stood frozen. Then, who had I just met? I didn't dare think further. I quickly said goodbye to Lily and rushed home. From that night on, I had nightmares every time I
Give it
closed
back.
my eyes.
Please return
I
it to me.
dreamed of Lucas strangling me, but I didn't know why. That made me skip school and rely on sedatives for a week. Lily, noticing my absence from class, came to check on me.
Are you okay? You've been missing from school?
I've just been feeling a bit unwell.
Oh? Why is this pen here? I've been looking for it everywhere.
I borrowed it from you a while ago, but forgot to tell you. I also never got the chance to return it.
This was my brother's favorite pen. Ever since he passed away, I've been keeping it as a memento.
A chill ran down my spine upon hearing that. Could this be the reason for everything that had happened to me? From the moment I returned the pen, my nightmares stopped. But the memories of that night remained etched in my mind forever.
Have you ever gotten lost in the forest? I had a terrifying experience that still sends shivers down my spine every time I remember it. The images from that day are etched into my memory, never fading. My name is Linda. I am 20 years old and a second-year economics major. I have 2 close friends, Mike and Mark. We've been inseparable since we first entered university. But after our mountain trip last month, one of us never came back. We had planned a trip to a mountain about 60 kilometers from our university, a place known for its untouched scenery and fresh air. We arrived early in the morning, with fog still blanketing the mountain, creating an eerie yet exciting atmosphere for adventure lovers like us. By noon, we finally reached the summit. Looking down from above, it felt as if we could see the entire city stretching beneath us.
It was really worth waking up early today.
Let's take a picture together. In the afternoon, we packed up and started making our way back down. However, after walking for a while, something felt off.
It seems like we are lost.
What should we do now? It's getting dark. We have to contact the rescue team.
No way! There is no phone signal here.
Maybe we have to stay in the forest tonight.
It was getting dark, and the further we went, the more exhausted we felt. Our food and water had run out, but fortunately we came across a stream, so we decided to set up camp there for the night.
I'm having a really bad stomach ache. I need to go to the bathroom for a bit.
A long time passed, but Mark still hadn't returned, making us start to feel worried, so we searched for him together. Suddenly, slow, chilling footsteps echoed ahead, as if someone or something were approaching. Looking through the flashlights, we saw a man in black walking towards us in the distance. Who are you?
Today will be your day of death.
As the man pulled out a blood-stained knife, a wave of fear surged through me. Without thinking, I grabbed Mike's hand and we bolted into the darkness. While running, my foot tripped over a trap. A sharp pain shot through my ankle and I fell to the ground. Mike skidded to a stop and ran back to me. Desperately, he tried to free my leg from the metal jaws of the trap. I looked up and saw the man's shadow closing in on us. Panic gripped me. I wanted to scream, but terror strangled my voice. Finally, Mike managed to pry the trap open. Without hesitation, he lifted me onto his back and carried me forward, running as fast as he could. Mike kept carrying me for a long distance through the night. Then we saw an abandoned house in front of us, so we ran inside and treated the wounds. He laid me down on an old bed, looked at me with concern, then quickly sat down to bandage the wound on my leg. Mike had just finished bandaging my wound when footsteps echoed outside, and we hurriedly crawled under the bed. From the inside looking out, I saw the man's legs slowly stepping into the house as if searching for prey. Mike and I tried not to make a sound, holding our breath as we stared at the feet walking back and forth beside the bed. My foot suddenly touched something soft beside me. When I turned to look, it was the corpse of a man, his eyes wide open. I jumped back, recoiling instinctively, letting out a soft gasp in the stillness. The man's legs suddenly stopped and he walked over to stand in front of the bed. Mike and I clung tightly to each other in fear. The man chuckled softly and said,
Got it.
We were dragged outside by the man and tightly bound. Mike and I kept pleading for our lives, but he didn't pay any attention.
Please don't kill us. Please let us go. You have no choice.
Suddenly, a bullet struck the man's hand, and the police rushed in from outside and surrounded him. It turned out that the man was a wanted murderer, and the corpse I had seen earlier had been killed by him. The next morning, the police discovered Mark's body at the bottom of the ravine, covered in multiple stab wounds. Those horrifying images remained vivid in my mind. The mountain climbing trip, which had seemed full of joyful memories, had turned into a nightmare in my recollection.
I have a friend named Emma, who is 25 years old. She once had a beautiful love story with a man named William, who was 3 years older than her. At first, William loved and spoiled her, making her believe she had found the perfect partner. But soon, his love became suffocating and turned into a nightmare. William controlled Emma too much. He didn't let her meet her friends, not even her closest girlfriends. When she couldn't take it anymore, she decided to break up. But William didn't let her go easily. At first, he begged her desperately, but then he started threatening her. One day, he kidnapped Emma. She woke up in a strange room, her hands and feet tied tightly. William spoke softly.
Hello, my love.
William's voice was gentle, but it sent chills down Emma's spine. She tried to move, but the ropes were too tight and hurt her wrists. Emma shouted angrily.
Let me go, William!
William tilted his head and smiled.
You are mine. I won't let you leave me.
He walked closer and touched her face. Emma tried to turn away, but she couldn't do anything. William wanted Emma to love him again and obey him. He clenched his teeth and said,
Emma, say you love me. Say it!
Emma struggled, but the more she resisted, the tighter he held her. She yelled,
I hate you! I regret ever loving you!
Hearing this, William's eyes filled with rage. He immediately slapped Emma hard. Emma felt a burning pain on one side of her face, and the sharp sting made her dizzy. William shouted angrily,
I did everything for you. And you? You want to leave me? You betrayed me.
Emma screamed back.
William, you are crazy! You disgust me!
William became more furious. He punched and slapped her repeatedly until her lips bled. The days after that were a never-ending nightmare. Whenever she resisted, he beat her, starved her, and left her weak and trembling. But after hurting her, he would hold her close, kiss her forehead, and comfort her like a child. Emma soon realized that the more she fought back, the more violent he became. She spoke softly.
William, I'm sorry for hurting you.
She knew she had to act the way he wanted, at least until she found a way to escape. Without waiting for his reaction, she smiled gently and said,
These days, I realize that I still love you.
William seemed surprised by her reaction. His eyes widened in shock. Even though she wanted to push him away, Emma held back. She had to think fast and find a way to escape this horrible place. William smiled happily.
Good girl. I knew you still loved me.
Emma then said softly,
William, I want to hug you, but my hands are tied.
Without hesitation, William untied her ropes. Emma watched as he loosened each knot, feeling relieved inside. She gave him a weak smile and whispered,
Thank you, William. I love you.
William smiled with satisfaction, stroking her head like a pet. Emma then saw a bottle of wine on the table. Slowly, she walked over and poured some into a glass. She handed it to William and smiled.
William, I am really happy to be with you.
William was completely off guard. He took the glass of wine from Emma's hand and brought it to his lips to drink. Seizing the moment, Emma grabbed the wine bottle and smashed it over his head. Emma ran to the door, but it was locked. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't open it. She looked around the room, searching for anything to help her escape. Then she saw a rusty iron rod in the corner. Without hesitation, she grabbed it and used all her strength to hit the door. After several strikes, the door finally broke open. Emma ran outside without looking back. Later, she called the police, but when they arrived, William was gone. There were no signs of torture or blood in the apartment. In fact, the apartment was Emma's home, but she truly believed she had been kidnapped. The police thought she had mental health issues and sent her to the hospital for treatment. A few days later, they found a man's body in an abandoned house outside the city. His body had multiple stab wounds from a broken wine bottle found at the scene. After investigating, the police confirmed that the victim was William. They also found Emma's fingerprints at the crime scene. However, when they questioned her, she had no memory of killing William. After suffering such a huge trauma, Emma could no longer tell what was real and what was just a nightmare in her mind. Now she is in the hospital, receiving treatment for PTSD and paranoid disorder.
I was an online seller and had just moved into a new house to support my business. Luckily, I found a rather spacious house in a small neighborhood, and the rent was incredibly reasonable. During the first few nights living there, I was often awakened by the sound of scissors echoing from the next room. I thought to myself, could it be a thief? Summoning all my courage, I went out to check. But as soon as I opened the door, the sound disappeared, and the door to the other room remained tightly shut. Everything seemed normal, as if nothing had happened, so I tiredly returned to my bedroom. A while later, I was woken up again by the same sound, but this time it was louder and more urgent. A growing sense of unease crept over me, and my heart pounded in my chest. I got out of bed and went to the next room, but just like before, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. As I was about to close the door, I suddenly noticed a woman standing in the middle of the room. Her head bowed. She was holding a pair of rusty scissors, the blades dripping with a thick, dark liquid onto the floor. I stood frozen in the doorway, my legs glued to the ground, unable to move. Who are you? Why are you in my house? The woman didn't answer. Instead, she slowly lifted her face and it was no longer intact. Her mouth had been slit open all the way to her ears, and deep scratches covered her face, oozing fresh blood. Terrified, I let out a scream, only to realize I was lying in bed with sunlight streaming in through the window. Was it just a dream? But the fear felt so real, and cold sweat drenched my body. Unable to shake off my unease, I decided to call the landlord to ask about the woman. However, he dismissed my concerns, saying he knew nothing, before hurriedly hanging up. I had a gut feeling that he was hiding something about the history of the house. That night, the events repeated themselves, but this time, the sound seemed to be right next to my ear. Frightened, I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to block out the chilling noise. Moments later, the sound suddenly stopped, and I thought that perhaps it was finally over. But when I opened my eyes, I was horrified to see the woman floating above me on the ceiling, laughing eerily. Her face drew closer and closer, her icy breath sending shivers down my spine. Overcome with terror, I screamed, mustering all my strength to leap out of bed and dash out of the house. Her sinister laughter echoed behind me, following every step I took. That night, I booked a nearby hotel to stay in, desperate to get away from that cursed house. The next morning, as I returned, I ran into a neighbor who had just come back from somewhere. Hello, ma'am. I just moved into the house across the street.
You live in that house?
Yes, but I'm planning to move out today. Is there something wrong?
A long time ago, a woman was brutally murdered by her husband in that house.
Why did her husband do that?
She was having an affair, and when her husband found out, he slit her face and then killed her before turning himself into the police.
I saw her last night. Her face was horrifying.
Ever since she died, she's been haunting that house, scaring off women with beautiful faces like yours.
A chill ran down my spine, sending a wave of goosebumps over my skin.